else would you rather be than right here, right now, tuning in to Bills Central Radio?
Time now for Bills Central Radio with ProFootballCentral.com's Chris Brown and BillsMafia.com Del Reid.
Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Touchdown, rain, sleet, or snow. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
And we're live here on Bills Central Radio on this Monday, hot, sunny afternoon. My name is Chris Brown, and I'm on the line with the co-host of the show. How are we doing today, Del?
We're doing fantastic, man. How was your weekend?
Very hot. No rain, dry. But can't complain with the weather, I guess, right?
No way. Not in the Northeast. You don't have any right to complain for the beautiful few months we get right around this time of year.
Absolutely. We got a great show lined up for our listeners today. We have a few guests on the show. Our first guest this afternoon, his name is Emory Hunt. He is the CEO and founder of Football Gameplan. He is joining us now on the line. How are you doing today, Emory?
I'm doing fine, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Thanks for coming on. We have a couple questions for you, so we'll go ahead and get started. My first question for you is, what is Football Gameplan exactly for those who don't know? How did it originate, and where can fans locate it if they want to view any of the stuff that you come out with?
Well, we started back in 2007. What we are, we're a one-stop shop for the football fan, where we cover everything football, whether it be the NFL, CFL, women's tackle football, college football from D1 to JUCO, arena, indoor football, even international football. So we cover it all at Football Gameplan. And we started back in 2007 as a website. In 2009, we started adding video to that website, and now we're at where we're over 2.5 million views on YouTube due to our weekly videos and things of that nature. And if people want to find us, they can find us at footballgameplan.com or on YouTube at youtube.com/footballgameplan. They can also follow me on Twitter at footballgameplan, and we also have a fan page on Facebook.
Okay. That's very cool, covering all NFL teams as well as different coverages football. Let's talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills season preview that you just released not too long ago. We'll go right out of the box and go with the big prediction that created a little bit of buzz on Twitter about the Bills winning the AFC East and finishing first.
Yeah, I honestly believe the Bills are not that far off. If you go back and look at some of those Patriot-Bill games, they were in those games. Sometimes they had leads, and it just fell apart at the end. And now you look at a situation where they're going to rely mostly on C.J. Spiller, which is awesome because he's an outstanding running back. And you look at the weapons they've added with Derrick Rodgers, an undrafted free agent. I think he's going to have a huge impact on this roster. Robert Woods, Stevie Johnson. I'm a big fan of Scott Chandler as a tight end. So I think they have enough pieces to cause problems for any defense. That offensive line wasn't that bad last year. And now you add a guy back there, E.J. Manuel, who has that mobility. One, your sack total is going to go down because he can get out of some trouble. And also the running output is going to go up because of his ability to keep that backside defensive end at bay. So C.J. Spiller may even top over 1,500 to 1,600 yards if they give him at least 250 carries.
Yeah, Emory, this is Del Reid from BillsMafia.com. Thanks for coming on with us. I got to say, just hearing that stuff, I get so excited. I'm sitting here, I got goosebumps just in the past 30 seconds you give me that reply. So hopefully it's nice to hear somebody who's a little bit more objectively minded, who covers every brand and type of American football on the planet. To have that kind of outlook is exciting. Now, you might have just answered this. You might have just answered this question. But, sorry about that. E.J. Manuel, you just mentioned him. I wanted to ask you about him and Kevin Cobb and the whole Bills quarterback competition. They've been very upfront in all aspects, whether it's somebody at the podium, somebody in the front office, somebody manning their Twitter feed, their website. They're saying open competition, open competition. So what are your thoughts on that in terms of Manuel and Cobb and how they stack up against each other?
Well, if it's an open competition, a legit one, then I do believe E.J. Manuel will win that outright. He has unique skills that Cobb can't bring to the table. We've seen Cobb already. I think he's maxed out as a pro. So what you saw last year is what you saw in Philadelphia is what you're going to see in the future. So he is what he is right now, and why not take a chance with a guy that does have some upside if you're going to put a quarterback back there? Cobb can't run around. Cobb can't shy away from pressure, and that would derail his career in Arizona. So I think you have to go with E.J. Manuel. It just makes a lot of sense from a football standpoint. If you're going to struggle, you might as well struggle with a younger guy that you have enough time to groom and definitely has that upside.
So do you have any concerns about that, though, with like a new guy coming in and maybe getting shell-shocked or something if he's not up to snuff, week 1, week 2, week 3?
Not at all. As football is an easy game, and he's been playing football his whole life, and so the same goes with Cobb. When Cobb stepped in with the Philadelphia Eagles, he did fine, and the problem was you saw some of the same symptoms you saw last year back in Philadelphia. You saw him shy away from contact. You saw him kind of get rid of that football quickly, blindly, without seeing what he was throwing, and it resulted in some interceptions. So you kind of are what you are in this game, and I think anyone that has played the game for a long period of time, they kind of know what they're getting into.
All right, cool. So you're on the Manuel bandwagon. That's good. I was excited about him when they drafted him. Do you have any concerns about his game, though, coming out of FSU? Do you think he can exceed expectations or what?
Absolutely. I have some concerns about Manuel's game. And when you look at what happened at Florida State, a lot of which could be attributed to Jimbo Fisher's offense, tended to be a little bit too mechanical, a little bit robotic, didn't really see the whole field, and had accuracy issues. So that's the question I had about him going into the 2012 season at Florida State. But when I saw him down at the Senior Bowl all week long, first day, instantly I tweeted out, E.J. Manuel looks like a completely different quarterback outside of that Florida State offense. And sure enough, he had a great week of practice and had a very good game and was the game's MVP. So moving forward, I do think his best football is ahead of him. But, yes, there were some legit concerns about his game going into the season.
Now, earlier you alluded to C.J. Spiller, who could potentially help E.J. Manuel develop and help with the growing pains a little bit, so to speak. Throughout your breakdown, you had mentioned during the running game aspect of it, you sort of compared C.J. Spiller to a little Marshall Faulk Hall of Famer. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, when I scouted him coming out of Clemson, I'm old enough to remember Marshall Faulk in college and what he brought to the table, how he put San Diego State on the map. And Spiller has the same type of talent, a guy that can go from 0 to 60, a guy can definitely catch the football out of the backfield, can beat you many different ways. You can even line him up in the slot as a receiver. But the good thing about Spiller is that he's like any other running back. When you give guys consistent carries, they're going to just eat up the yards. And the difference between a guy in C.J. Spiller and a Fred Jackson is that Spiller can get that 80-yard touchdown run, whereas Fred Jackson may get the 3, the 4, maybe 2-yard type of carries, but Spiller definitely has a breakaway element, and that's what Faulk had. It's the difference when Faulk went to the St. Louis Rams and what he added to that offense. That's what really made that offense go. It was an explosive element out of the backfield as well as their ability to throw the football around.
And that's what fans are definitely looking for is that home run catch and C.J. Spiller, that gets people excited. Now, you had also mentioned Drew Smith. He's a former guest here on BillsCentralRadio. As far as the running back position goes, do you believe that he can compete and lock up possibly the third running back spot in the roster?
Absolutely. I see a lot of Fred Jackson in Drew Smith. I saw a lot of his games. We get a lot of FCS football. We cover a lot of FCS football, and being in this area, you do see Albany a lot. We saw a lot of his games, and notice the fact that bigger guy, similar to Fred Jackson, definitely is versatile. So I think he has an opportunity to make a legit push for the position, whether it be fullback or as that third or fourth runner. I think he definitely has a spot on his roster.
Now, you mentioned some of the names earlier, but, we've drafted some really young talent in the wide receiver position this year with Woods and Goodwin. We brought in Derek Rogers, as you mentioned, and also Brandon Kaufman. How many receivers do you think the Bills are going to keep on their roster, and who are they?
Well, if it was up to me, I'd keep 5. And I'm a big fan of Brandon Kaufman. Saw him a lot at Eastern Washington, just doing a lot of damage. Matter of fact, as recent as doing damage to a very good Sam Houston State defense. And when you look at the receivers that I would keep Derek Rogers, Stevie Johnson, also Woods and Kaufman, Goodman. You keep those guys, in my opinion, and that would be your 5. If you wanted to keep a 6th guy, you can keep Graham. You can keep one of those extra guys, those carryover. But I like the young talent they brought in with the draft as well as the undrafted free agents. I think they're fine there. They got matchup problems. They got speed. They have size. So they got a little bit of everything that they can give you on if you're an offensive coach.
All right, sticking with the wide receiver position, the Bills have had some really good wide receivers in their past. However, Stevie Johnson is the only one to not only post back-to-back 1,000 yards, but 3 1,000-yard seasons in a row. Do you think he's able to keep it and make it to 4 this year?
I think so. And when you look at it, you spread the field when you have other options at receiver. And a lot of times the quarterback will tend to go to his comfort zone, and you have to respect what Stevie Johnson has done throughout the course of his career. But with other options out there, now he's going to see more one-on-one coverage as opposed to being doubled, and that's just going to open up the offense. So I still think he can catch maybe 60, 70 balls for over 1,000 yards.
Okay. Now let's switch gears a little bit here and go to the defensive side of the ball. The Bills, during the offseason, were a little active and signed a couple free agents in Alan Branch and Manny Lawson. Do you feel that the Bills' defense is going to become a force with the additions to those, as well as having coordinator Coach Pettin on the Bills' staff now?
Absolutely. When you look at the Bills' front 7, and you have to like their defensive line with Williams, Darius, and Kyle Williams, Branch is a depth guy that has gotten better each and every year he was in the league. And the thing about the 3-4 defense is that it's just a pressure defense. It screws up your blocking assignments. You don't know where that 4th or 5th guy is coming from. So as a quarterback, you're sitting back there trying to figure out where the unblocked guy is coming from and do you have the right line protection call, which means that ball is going to come out quick, which is why I like this defense, because on the back end they do have guys that can make plays on the ball. Stephon Gilmore, Jarius Byrd, Creston Butler is another solid guy, Ryan Brooks. So they got guys that can come over with interceptions, Aaron Williams. So the ball comes out quick. You make plays on the ball. You get the ball back for your offense. And the Bills don't need the defense to be number 1. They just don't need it to be 32nd. That defense could even be 15 with the offensive firepower potentially that's in place. This could be a dangerous team.
Now, you had mentioned in your previews that the Bills will need an impact linebacker. With the linebackers that are currently on the roster, who do you think will step into that role? Do you think it could possibly be rookie Kiko Alonso or undrafted free agent Keith Pugh, as well as Nigel Bradham? What are your thoughts on those guys, and who do you think is going to be the impact linebacker for this year?
Well, Kiko Alonso is a guy he's and not to say this in a bad way, but he's a one-trick pony, and it's a good trick to have, a seek and destroy type guy, A-gap blitzer, so you can have that as one of your backers. I'm a big fan of Keith Pugh, the undrafted free agent. Saw a bunch of his games at Howard, then saw him down at the East-West Shrine game all week of practice. And here was a guy that played outside backer at Howard, but played inside backer throughout the whole week down in Tampa, and did a great job not only stopping the run, but also in pass coverage. So I see a little bit of versatility right there. And I'm still holding out hope for Jerry Hughes to come in and get after the quarterback. Mark Anderson in that outside rusher position in that 3-4 should be able to get pressure. And Manny Lawson was a very solid pickup this offseason. And don't forget about Brian Scott, another guy that does a great job in coverage. So there's talent, unique skills, and enough to where they can be versatile in their approach.
Nice. Now, we just spent some time on the front 7. Let's move to the backfield a little bit. One guy who I really like, who unfortunately he catches hell on Twitter sometimes, just for sometimes things that are outside of his control or whichever, but Aaron Williams. He was projected as a safety coming out of Texas in the 2011 draft, and the Bills drafted him at the top of the second round and made him a cornerback. He's had some flashes, and he's also had some struggles at the cornerback position. One thing that's welcome, as I'm sure you're aware, is he's going to be a safety this year now, helping out with, the transition with, George Wilson gone, and whoever knows what's going to go on with, the other safety positions there. But many have said that he should have made that transition, initially. But what are your thoughts on Aaron Williams and how he fits in and what he's capable of?
Well, the fact that he played corner helps him out now in that transition to safety, because now you have the luxury of matching him up on inside wide receivers or maybe tight ends, and he'll be able to hold his own. The good thing about him going back to safety is that the ball is in front of him. When you struggle as a corner, a lot of times it's due to the fact that guys struggle to locate the football or turn their hips and run with the receiver. So as a safety, now all you're doing is judging the ball that's in front of you, and you're taking proper angles. If he can do that, he can do fine, because I have no questions about his skill set as far as catching the football or getting past breakups. So I think that's a great move for him, because he has everything in front of him, and then he can make better decisions as far as judging the ball is concerned.
Yeah, that's great. Like I said, I like him. I want to see him do well at that safety position. Now, staying with the safeties, plain and simple, 3 weeks from today is the deadline for franchise tag players. How do you see Jarris Byrd working out?
Hopefully they can get him signed. I'm a big fan of what he brings to the table, and that's a huge piece to that defense. Anytime you have a guy back there that can eliminate mistakes, it makes your defense that much more better. You can get aggressive. If you could think back to when the Saints had Darren Sharper, how he instantly upgraded that defense, they were able to get more aggressive in the front seven because you had a guy back there that QBs were afraid to throw deep downfield because he can really come away with interceptions. So I hope they get Jarris Byrd signed, because he's a very good player in this league.
Now, for Bills fans, that would almost be an icing on the cake, so to speak, for the Bills offseason. We got a whole rehaul in the coaching staff and the administration to I would say, a pretty successful draft from an eye's point. That's right now, of course, you can't really judge a draft or grade a draft till years down the road. But signing Byrd will put the icing on the cake. Now, can fans of any NFL team, but specifically Bills fans, can they expect a projection for a 53-man roster from Football Gameplan playing in the near future?
Well, that's kind of tough to throw out 53 guys. That would almost require me to be inside the head of Doug Marrone and company. But I will say this. As far as the receiver position is concerned, I know we talked about that. You got to watch what teams do. They drafted 2 wide receivers. They bring in 2 guys that were top at that position in college. And as an undrafted free agent, you choose where you go. And if you think you have a legit shot to make an impact, you go to that ball club. So you're going to see a bunch of undrafted free agents and a bunch of these guys that were lower draft picks, like a Chris Gregg, make an impact. So you're going to see some surprise cuts, maybe guys that were drafted last year, and you're going to see some surprise guys that stick on this team. A lot of undrafted free agents got really good opportunities out here.
Okay, from what you said with that, give us one surprise cut on both sides of the ball, offensive, defense, and potentially one surprise guy who you believe will make the roster on each side of the ball.
Okay, I'll take that bet. I say a surprise cut will probably be T.J. Graham. I know he was drafted last year, but when you look at Derek Rogers, Brandon Kaufman, Marquise Goodwin, Robert Woods, it's a lot of, that's a lot of talent right there. Is it going to be either Graham or Easley that's going to be gone, in my opinion, if I had to take a chance? Now, defensively, I think a guy like Mikael Roby can make this squad as a corner. So that's another one you want to keep an eye on. And Keith Pugh making this roster. And a surprise cut will probably be that's a tough one. Looking at this defense, I really think a surprise cut, I would say maybe Arthur Moats.
Okay.
No, not Arthur. Not Arthur.
Not Arthur.
I'm a big Arthur Moats fan. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, We'll have
Well,
you
that's
reiterate.
what happens when you have a lot of talent, man. It makes it tough to. It makes it tough.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
All right, well, we'll have you reiterate one more time where people can check you out, check out Football Game Plan, where they can follow you on Twitter, and YouTube links that you have, just for any NFL fan and just specifically Bills fans that are listening.
You can check us out. FootballGamePlan.com is our website. YouTube.com/FootballGamePlan. We're going to constantly see our videos that we have coming out every day of different leagues and more importantly for you guys, Bills videos that are coming out. They can hit me up on Twitter at FootballGamePlan and also become a fan of ours on Facebook.
All right, that was Emory Hunt, the CEO and founder of Football Game Plan. We'd like to thank you for taking the time and joining us on Bills Central Radio today.
Thank you, guys, for having me again. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, definitely.
What's up? This is Arthur Moats, number 52 of the Buffalo Bills, and you're listening to Bills Central Podcast on Pro Football Central. Go Bills.
We're back on Bills Central Radio. We're going to hit on a couple topics real quick. What's new at BillsMafia.com, Bill?
Yeah, thanks for asking, man. I wanted to put a plug in. 1 week from today, on July 1st, is the deadline for the initial down payment for those that want to go on our cruise that we have scheduled for next March. So if this is the first you've heard of it, check out BillsMafia.com. On the right-hand side, you've got a little block ad. It says Bills Mafia Cruise. Click on that. It's going to be a great little excursion we have out of Miami. This is next March. It will be leaving Miami. It will be a nice little Bahamas cruise, and we have some fun events set up for that whole thing. It's going to be a great time for a nice little 4-day cruise where you can hang out with fellow Bills fans and, goof off and just, enjoy the off-season a little bit and just mix it up with fellow fans. It should be a good time. We're only, the initial deposit only has to be $100, and then after that you have until January to pay on whatever schedule you want. We've got a great relationship set up with our travel agent for this. So check it out, BillsMafia.com, the Bills Mafia Cruise, March 17th through 21st.
Ooh, ooh, all aboard the Bills Mafia Cruise. That definitely sounds like a good time there. Definitely a way for fans to interact with one another, and, that's what the Bills Mafia is all about. Now, on a lighter note of things, it was announced today the start of the Jim Kelly football camp. I did a little speech beforehand, and Jim Kelly is cancer-free, does not need any chemotherapy. So that is a great sign and a good thought for Jim Kelly.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great news. It's that was pretty whirlwind, huh? We just found out about it a couple weeks ago, and all of a sudden, now there's no cancer. So, thank God for that. That's great. He's somebody we want to keep around for a long time. We love Jim.
Absolutely. Jim 1, cancer 0. So that's definitely great for Jim and his family, and we're going to keep him in his thoughts, and hopefully this thing is gone forever, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So there's definitely some good news for Jim and his family.
Thanks for tuning in to Bills Central Radio. For Bills news, updates, stats, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.
Shout, 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 shout. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Touchdown, rain, sleet, or snow. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Defense. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Touchdown, rain, sleet, or snow. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Defense, rain, sleet, or snow. Okay, new vibe, new feel, new coach, new Bills. Red, white, blue steel. Hard work, true skill. This year's on you, Spill. LDM, I'm predicting that. Touchdown, Stevie Johnson, swag cooking.